What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. It is Cabal Culture Smasher here. Oh my gosh, guys, I just finished watching Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I have to say, I absolutely loved this movie. I thought it was incredible. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to place this quite yet, because there's so much that I like about it. I don't know how to rank this in terms of, like, the other Mission Impossible films. If I had to guess right off the top of my head, I think I would put this movie on the same tier as Fallout and Rogue Nation. I think those were some of the strongest films in the franchise. I think I'd put this one right on tier with that film. Real quickly, guys, before we get started, we're not going to be covering any spoilers here because I wouldn't think that would be fair to you. I want you guys all to go see this movie because I love this movie and I think you're going to love this movie too. So we're not going to be discussing any spoilers here. I'm just going to talk about how it felt, what I really liked about it, in terms of feeling, and how I think that'll translate to when you guys go watch this yourselves. So first off, I think I'll start off with what was the weakest about the movie, okay? I'll start off with what was the weakest about it, because it's definitely not a perfect film. It has flaws. I love this movie. I definitely love this movie. It does have some flaws, though, but they're far outshined by what is great about this film. So let's just start off with a little bit of what was a little bit odd. I did think some of the editing was a little bit too choppy. Like, they could have had more scenes where it's a little bit more drawn out. They didn't have to be all like choppy and spliced. And also the runtime. I get this is the last movie. I expected it to be like near 3 hours long. However, I don't want to say that you felt those 3 hours, but the movie did feel long. But at the same time, I did think that a lot of it felt necessary. Like, it was a necessary amount of length. There's definitely parts of this movie which, surprisingly, not a lot is happening because you're learning a lot about the characters, the plot, and a lot of very plot-heavy stuff happens in this film. Like, I think more so than any other film we've seen, right? All the Mission Impossible plots, they're sort of semi-complex, but I think kind of dumbed enough down that you can understand it, like, if you're somewhat paying attention. Here, I think you really have to pay attention. You have to really listen and engage with the storyline to figure out what is happening. And another thing is, too, this is not really a spoiler. Sometimes in the last film, they'll reference a lot of stuff that comes before. A lot of that stuff happens here. Maybe a little bit even too much. Maybe there's a little bit too much referencing at times in terms of stuff that happened in previous films. Because I think the reason why they did that, they have to make clear on that, is because they know a lot of the general audience probably has not seen all of the movies, all 8 of these films, especially not if they're young, right? If they're around my age, I can guarantee you half the people my age have not seen every single Mission Impossible movie, but I have, and I'm really happy for that, because there's a bunch of different references which ties together all the different films in a nice little bow here. But in terms of referencing all those other films, only the true Mission Impossible fan base will understand that. The average audience member will not, right? Because you got to think, Tom Cruise, man, he has been playing Ethan Hunt since 1996. 30 years ago now, he's been playing this character. And to do him credit, man, his stunts in this movie were freaking amazing. I honestly believe we might have seen some of the best stunts in his career done in this film. What they did here, the stunts he did, oh my goodness, I could not believe how incredible, enthralling these sequences were. Like, oh my gosh, this is not a spoiler. This was in the trailer, so I'll reference this one time, right? There's that one little submarine reference you see from the trailer. Wow. That submarine scene, I have to say, that was the most stunning underwater sequence I think I've ever seen in any film, period. Any film that has done an underwater sequence, it is truly, like, just groundbreaking, amazing stuff. It reminded me a lot, actually, of the underwater sequences in Thunderball, that old Sean Connery Bond flick. That's the first usage I've really seen of, like, those really good, practical, done real-time underwater sequences, and you really get a sense of that here. The thing I loved about this movie is, like, you really see where the money went when it came to Tom's stunts, right? You really get the sense that he went all out for this because he knew that he really did want this thing to be the epic culmination of 30 years of storytelling, and you really get that sense of epicness. That's the greatest thing about this movie. The epicness. You really feel the stakes at all times. You really feel like this is the highest the stakes have ever been in any of the films, and that these things matter. Everything that Ethan does in this movie, you feel like that stuff has consequences, has impact. So I really loved that this one did not have like, some films, action flicks especially, they'll end on somewhat of a mediocre ending. Maybe like the last film will be a little bit kind of divided, like maybe not bad, maybe entertaining, but not like epic enough where it doesn't feel like a conclusive ending to the story. This was huge. This was epic. This felt conclusive, right? I really think you guys are gonna love this movie, especially how it ends. I was in my seat, glued to my seat from start to finish. Like I said, this movie definitely felt long at times. You could actually feel sometimes the runtime, but at the same time, it felt like long in a good way. The same way that when you watch something like Lord of the Rings, you know that those movies are long, but they feel long in a good way. Like there's a reason why these movies have to be long. They don't just feel like they're trying to pad out the runtime. And that's what it feels like here. It feels like there's a lot of stuff here that needed to be here to really get the story going. So yeah, I love this film, but I gotta say, the one noticeable complaint I have about this film is that it's very diverse, but not done in a really, really terrible way. Like not like Marvel level stuff, not like woke level Batwoman, like She-Hulk, like the Marvels level woke. No. Tom Cruise, right? Say what you want about the man. Say what you want about his Scientology. The man knows how to make a good film. This movie definitely has diversity, and it is noticeable. I'm going to say that now. The diversity in this film is noticeable, but there's no spunky women of color trying to talk down to Ethan Hunt, right? Like Angela Bassett. This is not a spoiler. Angela Bassett, from the trailer, we already knew she was Madam President, right? And it's obvious that they expected Kamala Harris to win the election, and unfortunately, that was ill-timed because Angela Bassett plays the president here in a time where Trump is the president. But it's not like. It's not like I feel like, like she's just there because I'm black and I'm in power. I mean, obviously, because of diversity, she kind of is, but not in the sense that she's talking down to all the men. And that's the thing, right? Ethan Hunt and the other white guys in this film, none of them ever get disrespected by women. Thank God. Tom Cruise knows, even on diversity limits, how far he's able to go. I don't know if he had any hand in the diversity in this film or what. All I know is he didn't have preaching. That's the great thing about this movie. There was no preaching. There was no message. There was just pure entertainment, classic Hollywood. This movie felt like it could have been made in the 80s. Just that classic, beloved 80s style action flicks. I really love this. And on top of that, oh my gosh, not only was this a Mission Impossible Tom Cruise action flick, they also pulled from other genres. You'll see it in various scenes of this movie. This movie, besides a Mission Impossible film, also felt like they took inspiration from Indiana Jones and took inspiration from the greatest aspects of like Alien, like that sci-fi horror. You guys will see what I mean. There's a scene in this movie that's an incredible sequence that feels like something out of Alien, like that nice classic sci-fi horror, and it's done in a good way, in a way that fits Tom Cruise's style of filmmaking. This thing, I loved it. I think I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. It's not a perfect film, definitely not perfect, but I loved it. I really think this could be I think this is top 3 Mission Impossible films for me, right? I still think Fallout might be the best in the series, and then I think maybe Rogue Nation, and then this movie. This is definitely top 3 for me, easily, peak, right? Like I said, the stakes were so high. Tom Cruise's stunts were at an all-time high. The story, the plot was at an all-time high. I loved what they did here. The only thing is, man, I'm really sad that Ilsa Faust is no longer in this series. When she was killed in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I really thought, no, they didn't kill off Ilsa. No, he's Ethan's girl, right? They're not going to get rid of Ethan's girl. That's his love, right? I thought for sure that had to be like another person wearing a mask, right? Maybe it was a fake out. Maybe it was somebody wearing a mask on that body, and the actual Ilsa Faust was still out there. well, it's not a spoiler, like I said, because, you know, this was also promoted in the marketing. Well, Rebecca Ferguson, right, she already stated publicly that Dead Reckoning was her last film in the series, so that's not a spoiler. And unfortunately, her absence here in this film was definitely noticeable. Don't get me wrong, Hayley Atwell is freaking hot in this movie. Like, oh my god. But still, man, Ilsa was like, she was like my girl for Ethan, right? I'm sad that she died in the last one, but you know, whatever. I still love this film regardless. But anyway, guys, yeah, you got to go see this movie. This thing was incredible. Tom Cruise, man. Hollywood needs to learn a lesson from this man. He is basically the only one who seems to know how to make a movie, and not only make a great film, but make one that is not preaching a message, but is just there to entertain the audience and give them an escapism for a few hours, right? That's what I loved about this movie. Despite its runtime, I just escaped. I never thought once about modern current messaging outside of, like I said, some of the diversity. But I never felt preached to. I never felt talked down to. I never felt like the filmmakers wanted me to think a certain way. No. It was just pure good versus evil in this movie, and I absolutely love that, right? Ethan Hunt, this man is the American James Bond, and Tom Cruise has done a great job in bringing that character to the American market and just turning him into this icon, basically. So yeah, guys, that was the video. Let me know of your guys' thoughts. Are you going to go see this movie soon? Did you already see this movie, some of you? If you did, let me know in your comments. Try not to spoil it for anyone here who might not have watched that movie yet, if you've already seen it. So, yeah, guys, if you like this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I will see you guys in the next one.